Hey guys, welcome to the video where I ask myself, would you rather experience this or that? Where I take two concepts within domestic discipline and I talk through which one I would rather experience within my own relationship. I give my reasonings why. Sometimes it's both, sometimes it's neither. But I always let you know why I pick what I pick and what my thought process is. And I invite you in the comments to let me know which would you rather experience or do within your own relationship, and let me know your reasons why. Also, like this video and subscribe if you're not already. All those things are appreciated. So on this video, I want to talk about, would you rather experience bare bottom spanking or be spanked over clothing? So we have done both. We have, in our early relationship, we started out with spanking over clothing and have since moved into bare bottom spanking being the standard within our own relationship. If you listen to our video, I think it's titled "A Question About Bare Bottom Spanking," you will hear all of our reasonings why we switched from clothing into being bare for discipline. And when I say like over clothing, I'm talking about like the entire like punishment process. Like you've earned a punishment, you go to where you need to receive the punishment, you get in position, all the things, right? It's not a like quick correction that is then followed up with a punishment later on. I think for those quick corrections, it is probably more common that that clothing is involved, because you're not going to go through the entire process of baring yourself or being bared for those like quick in the moment corrections. It's more of the process of, you've earned a spanking, we are going to now facilitate this punishment. And in the beginning of our relationship, Coda did have me wear clothing for that. It was either very thin pajamas or like leggings, something that was just kind of a barrier between the implement and my skin. And I think that he did that initially because he did want to protect my skin from the impact. He also just wanted to make sure that he was being safe, and he was just being very cautious. And I think that that level of caution can be very good. It was a very endearing quality. I really did appreciate that he was thinking of how to facilitate spanking in a safe and effective way. But as we kind of moved through our relationship, as he got more experience giving spankings, I got more experience receiving spankings, we just eventually kind of naturally evolved into less and less clothing. It went from leggings to shorts to just over underwear to eventually becoming completely bare for discipline. And I think that that is somewhat unique in our relationship. Most couples I've talked to, they just go straight into bare bottom spanking because that is just what's expected. And I don't think that that's wrong at all. And I definitely would prefer, I guess I never really answered the question here. I just kind of went through our history of how we experienced both. Would I rather have clothing or bare bottom? I would rather have a bare bottom spanking, not because I feel like, not because it's less effective, not because I am somehow like sexualizing my discipline. I feel like that's a huge misconception, is that discipline is somehow sexualized just because there is nudity involved. That is not the case for us whatsoever at all. But bare bottom spanking is more effective, and it creates more vulnerability. It creates more intimacy, and not intimacy in a sexual way, but intimacy between a husband and a wife, between the taken in hand and the head of household, to kind of create more of that like bond and connection. Having a bare bottom spanking just facilitates that process more than clothing. And because there is a psychological aspect of feeling like there is a barrier between you and your head of household. Now, effectiveness wise, It is only slightly more effective on a bare bottom than it is over something like leggings or pajamas or even underwear. The spanking itself felt the same. Maybe bare bottom spanking is just slightly more stingy because you are having that direct contact between skin and implement, but there's not a huge effect on how the spanking feels, the sensation of the spanking. But there is that psychological aspect of feeling like there is a barrier between you and your head of household, and there is some sort of like defense against receiving the spanking. And that psychological barrier needed to be stripped away for me in order for discipline to become more effective, in order for discipline to facilitate more connection. And so that's why I would choose a bare bottom spanking over clothing. I don't want to get into all of it because, like I said, we do have a whole video about our thoughts on why we kind of moved into bare bottom spanking and why that is now the standard of how I receive punishment. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you're not already. Let me know which one would you rather have, and check out membership options if you're interested. All right, talk to you next time.